Welcome to the 10-Minute Treasurer. My name is Jeff Pospisil, and my hope with these videos is that you're going to find some practical advice that will improve your church's financial future. This video is a little different than normal. I'm a big user of our public library, so I get a lot of audio books and Kindle books and paper books as well. And I go through quite a few in a 12-month period. And so I just wanted to share with you what I've been reading over the last 12 months. And then if you know me, I probably recommended some books to you. And I picked out five that if I met you, I'd probably recommend to you. So to start out, I usually read through the Bible in a year, and this year was no exception. You read 5 to 6 pages a day, and you get through the Bible in a year. And I follow various reading plans, but that's my regular pattern. I also usually at bedtime read with Gus, my youngest son. So these are the books we read through this year. So you're going to see a lot of Percy Jackson. We did these Minecraft books for a while, as well as Dog Man. Then this summer, I found out that Ella likes to read books, along the same genre as Hunger Games, these post-apocalyptic types of ones. And I kind of like those too. So we read through a number of books this summer from various series. Normally it was a series, so that was kind of fun. Next are some books that I just read for the fun of it. I picked them up and just thought they'd be a fun read. So I went through Stephen King's Mr. Mercedes trilogy. I used to read a lot of him in college, so it was kind of fun to pick that up. Also, there was a couple of books by the Ready Player One author that I picked up as well. And all these were more or less the fun books that I read. Little expectation that they're going to pour much into my life, but they were entertainment for the most part. So let's go ahead and clear the slate. And here's some books that I had higher expectations of, that they would pour more into my life. So these ones, some of these are classics, are highly recommended ones that I wanted to read at least once. So like Animal Farm, actually, I read that for the second time, but I wanted to read it with Ella. So I thought that was a good one. So about every year, I'll read a book by an author and kind of discover the author. And this year, it happened to be Malcolm Gladwell and Simon Sinek. And I read anything I could get from them and really enjoyed their books. So you can see all the ones that I read from them. The other thing I'll do is I'll keep my ear open, and if somebody's talking highly about a book, I will put it on my radar. So these are the books that I read because somebody recommended them to me. Not a whole lot. I must not listen to people's recommendations that much. The last group of books are the ones that I ran across, usually listening to a podcast, usually the Carey Nieuwhof podcast. I ran across the author and I put it on my list and I went through it too. So these are all the more serious books that I went through over the last 12 months. Before I get to my official recommendations, I want to lift up some honorable mentions. So I guess I'm halfway recommending these ones. The first one is The Alchemist, and I really didn't realize this was a famous book, but it was a pleasant surprise, a very engaging tale, kind of surprising as well. Another one, which is an excellent audiobook, especially, is Jerry Seinfeld's Is This Anything? It made me laugh out loud a couple of times. So that was refreshing, especially this year. And then the last ones are just any one by Malcolm Gladwell. They're very thought-provoking. So he looks at things at a different way than most other people do. So I like that mix of history and facts and then his unique perspective. So my number one recommendation is that you would read the Bible. And I just think it's important to read this book at least once in your lifetime, whether you're a Christian or not. It's a powerful book. And actually, if you are a Christian, I would encourage you to make this a daily habit. It's one of those books that will change your life. And I just think the very first time you read through it, it's going to surprise you about what is and isn't in it. I think we make a lot of assumptions, and my daughter Ella, she's working through it for the very first time, reading through it. And we've had some great discussions about Genesis because there's some crazy stuff that happens in Genesis. So I'm looking forward to future discussions about that. And if all you got is a King James Bible at home or you don't have anyone, there's a Bible app, a great one. It's called YouVersion, and you can get a lot of different translations of it, or you can even just listen to it through the YouVersion app. So that's my number one recommendation. The second recommendation is The Seven Principles for Making Marriage Work by John Gottman. So, especially if you're married or you want to be married, this is a good book. This is one that my wife recommended to me. And so we're doing it as a couple. And it's the first couple book that I've done that I've wanted to finish. Normally, what'll happen is we'll start a couples book, and it seems like the bar is set so high that you're almost getting overwhelmed, and you're like, well, I'm never going to measure up, so let's just quit it. This one, I like the science behind it. I like the exercises in it. It is a good book. So if you want a good book, especially if you're to do as a couple, this is one I would recommend. My third recommendation is Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek. So this was part of my Simon Sinek kick, and I recommended this book to a ton of people. Very insightful on team dynamics, and so in a church world and a nonprofit world, this is a very helpful one to understand kind of the science behind it and all those chemicals that are going through our body. So the cortisol and the serotonin and the endorphins and how those play in. So just very insightful book. My fourth recommendation is Atomic Habits by James Clear. And part of the reason why I recommend this is I'm a guy that has this kind of ideal vision of how I should be living my life. And it's almost all or nothing is what it seems like. And so I struggle then with creating good habits and breaking bad habits because when it's all or nothing, it's just so easy to fail. And then to feel like you're not going to make any progress and it's a losing thing. So Atomic Habits, there was a lot of good insights about actually how to make and break habits. So I highly recommend that for you if you're struggling with any of that. My fifth recommendation is Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. And the reason I recommend this one is my sleep was thrown off about 5 or 6 months ago. Um, my wife, she got a job teaching English to Chinese kids. So her sleep had changed, her sleep pattern had changed. And that all of a sudden affected mine so that I was getting a little less sleep every night. And I didn't realize it at the time, but there was a number of negative effects that I could trace back to that. You're a little less focused, a little more moody, health things, all these other kinds of things were kind of adding up. And this book helped me understand the science behind sleep and helped me also correct that. So that was a very good book for dealing with this. I hope this was helpful to you. I'll leave some links in the description. And I want to say, just maybe it's a disclaimer, but I'm not saying I agree with 100% of what the author said, but there was nuggets of truth in these books that I thought were a help to me, and I've experienced the benefits from them. So that's why I'm recommending them to you. So, all right. God bless you till next time.